all, a big welcome to today's webinar. As recruiters, we kind of thought that we almost have an obligation really to try and help people get back into work, particularly during these difficult times that we're having at the moment. So we thought we'd put together some webinars to share our knowledge and just try and impart to you the things that we do on a daily basis. So the format of today's webinar is I'm going to talk through the presentation. We do invite you to ask questions, but if you could pop those in the chat and just keep yourselves on mute, that would be good. We are expecting about 30 people on this webinar, so it might get a bit cumbersome if we're all trying to speak at the same time. So if you can leave yourselves on mute, but pop any questions in the chat. Okay, we do welcome feedback as well, so either in the chat or I will put up some email addresses and contact details at the end. So hopefully there'll be no technical glitches today, fingers crossed, touch wood. And I do have a couple of other recruiters on the call with us as well, so they can help with any questions at the end. Right, I'll just do a final check of the waiting room. Yeah, I think we're good to go. Okay, so get that job, 7 traits of the highly successful job hunter. Now, before we begin, who am I, who are we, and why are we qualified to talk about this? Well, my name's Sarah Elwood. I'm Managing Director of Supertemps and S2 Recruitment, and we're based in North Wales. We work locally in North Wales, but also throughout the UK, supplying temporary and permanent staff. Each month, we're speaking to hundreds of job seekers and employers, both locally and further afield. And we've got quite a good idea as what's going on in the marketplace, certainly in the North Wales marketplace, but also throughout the UK. So we're just going to share with you some of the traits that we're seeing in the successful job seekers, those people that are getting the jobs. You know, how are they doing it? It is very difficult at the moment, but there are still jobs out there, believe it or not. So we're just going to share some of those traits with you. Some of our clients, just so that you get some idea of who we are and who we deal with. So this is just a list of some of our current clients. So everybody from public sector organisations, councils, charities like Blind Veterans UK, to more local agencies, universities, and leading suppliers of all kinds of equipment. So that's who we are. And what do our candidates say about us? Well, here's just some testimonials from some of our candidates. I won't read through them all, but basically we've got some 5-star reviews there. And sorry, just letting some more people in from the waiting room. Welcome everybody if you've just joined us. Yeah, so basically we've got some 5-star reviews there and some nice write-ups from some of the people that we have placed into work. Okay, so what are we expecting from today's session? What are we going to cover? Well, hopefully the session today will help you take stock and consider your options and understand a little more about the job marketplace post-COVID and currently during COVID. We don't know exactly how long it's going to take us to get through this, but we'll address some of these issues. It'll help you take a good look at brand you, and yes, you are a brand. You know, you have to sell brand you in this marketplace. You have to sell brand you all the time. It will help you stand out in a job short market and use your not yet employed time. If you are currently not employed, it will help you use that time productively. And ultimately, our aim is to help you get that job. So the job marketplace post or currently in COVID-19, where are we? Well, we're in a very job short marketplace. We've seen unemployment skyrocket. Some sectors have been hit more than others. You know, your hospitality sectors, your airline industries, they are having really tough times. And the battle currently is about mindset as much as skills. You know, yes, employers are looking for skills, depending on what the job is, but I know myself as an employer, I hire on attitude every time. You know, you can teach skills, but you can't teach attitude. So just bear that in mind. It's mindset and attitude as well as skills. So what opportunities does this COVID marketplace bring, this post or current COVID marketplace bring? Does it bring any? Well, if there are any positives, these hopefully are some of them. You know, everything has been disrupted. Everything, normality as we know it, has been disrupted, and don't we know it? This has left us with a clean slate, or many people with a clean slate, to actually reconsider your options. You know, we're speaking to people on a daily basis who are calling us here at Supertemps and S2 Recruitment, and they're saying, you know, I've been made redundant, can you find work for me? And they're actually saying, you know, I've done this for so long. It might be that they've been in hospitality, but actually I want to do something else. I want to retrain. What should I go into? So it might be a time for you to actually think, you know what, I've spent the last 10, 20 years doing something I actually don't want to do. What do I want to do? So, you know, get out your piece of paper, your blank piece of paper, and do some spider diagrams, brainstorm with yourself or your nearest and dearest. Or not your nearest and dearest if it doesn't work to do brainstorms with them. How about retraining? You know, lots of opportunities about there, lots of online training going around at the moment. If you get on Eventbrite and other platforms, there is a lot of free, a lot of it online training, so make the most of that. Or is it time to take a little time off with the children and consider your options if you're in a situation where you're able to do that? You know, it's all to play for. Put all your cards on the table and don't rule anything out. Also, another opportunity is just take this time to look at you as a brand and give yourself the best chance of success in this tricky job marketplace. And we'll talk you through how to do that in today's seminar. So just talking a bit about the marketplace and where we are. So this is the job postings, the UK job postings in 2020. So we can see here, back in March, there was about 1.35 million weekly postings going onto job boards in the UK. This dropped considerably, and we saw this in our own business. You know, as recruiters, we watched our own business go down pretty much the same. Dropped right down to the low point, which was end of May, beginning of June, to just over 950,000 a week, so considerable drop. But it has picked up, you know, and we're now back to levels which are actually matching, or if not slightly higher than what we were seeing in March. Regional growth in job postings. So where is this happening? So where has recovered quicker? So what we can see here is that the northwest of England has made the best recovery, followed by Wales. Wales has taken another slightly downward dip here. Maybe that was our second lockdown. But yeah, the northwest of England followed by Wales have made the best recoveries. And we see that London actually is lagging behind, London and then the West Midlands. So we're not seeing the same level of recovery in all areas. In terms of occupations, where is the recovery coming from? Well, we can see that roles in hospitality and leisure have fared the worst over the past 8 months. So if we look down here, we've got our chefs, we've got our fitness instructors and bar staff. You know, we all know that the hospitality industries have been hit pretty hard. But what's buoyant, or what's making good recoveries? Well, it's food and drink manufacturing, LGV drivers, nurses, and also carpenters here. So there are some industries where we are seeing quicker recoveries than others. So just how do the most successful job hunters get hired? As I said, these are the traits that we're seeing in those people that we're dealing with on a daily basis. First of all, they're realistic. They don't look for unicorns. You know, how has your sector been affected? If you're an airline pilot, is it realistic to look for a job in that industry at the moment? Probably not completely unrealistic, but it's going to be very hard. If you're a chef, it's going to be hard. So just consider that, consider your options. Could you take another role until your sector recovers, or take another role permanently? Could you take time out for family or study? Could you retrain and proceed in a different direction? Could you work for yourself? You know, we see many independent businesses springing up in times of recession. I would encourage you, or what we're seeing in those job seekers that are successful, is they're flexible and they see the bigger picture. It might be that they take a role now that they don't want to do forever, but it can lead on to something else. So just think about bigger picture stuff. The second trait that we see in highly successful job seekers is that they create opportunities where there may appear to be none. And this is an opportunity for you to have a standout moment. You know, this is where you can stand out from other people. There's a lot of unemployed people out there. Don't assume that there aren't any opportunities. Create opportunities for yourself. Have a brainstorm with yourself. What jobs would you like? What companies would you like to work for? Do some research. Look at your skills in terms of what you enjoy doing and what you're good at. Do some online research and plan what your pitch would be to these companies if you could sell yourself to them. Then plan your approach. You know, how can you approach? You've now got a list of maybe 2 or 3 employers or more that you would like to work with. How could you approach them? Are they advertising at the moment? No, well, that doesn't mean they're not hiring. Companies will, I mean, they can't always do this, but they will create jobs for people that they see have the right attitude, the tenacity and the persistence to keep calling, keep showing how good they are. So plan your approach. Would you contact them via phone, LinkedIn, email? Should you call in? Should you send them a short video? Should you find out who the hiring manager is on LinkedIn and send them a video? Now is not the time to be a shrinking violet. You might hear me say that a couple of times today, but you need to try and stand out because it's going to be a clamber to get jobs. Is there any commonality or past history that you have with these companies that you want to work for? Why would they want to speak to you? You know, think of any leverage that you may have. Think about how you could get them interested. You know, if you can get them on the phone, mention that you've been working with one of their competitors. Oh, I've been working with your competitor down the road, and this is what I did for them. I was wondering if I could offer you the opportunity to let me do that for you as well. Or maybe you saw that article that they wrote or that event they ran and just wanted to phone you and congratulate, or message you on LinkedIn and congratulate you on it. I was talking to Gemma, your PA, and she said it would be worth, or you kindly sponsored our football club last year. So any commonality that you have, any excuse to speak to these people, whether that be over the phone or LinkedIn or email, use it. Okay. Objection handling. Time to be a rhino in the nicest possible way. To be thick-skinned, you know, prepare for objections and don't take them personally. You have to kiss a lot of frogs before you meet your prince, for want of a better phrase. But you have to face it, or you may have to face a lot of rejections before you get that success. They may say to you, oh, I'm not hiring. Well, I understand you're not currently hiring, but I wondered if you let me work for a day or demonstrate what I can do for you. Having worked with your competitor, I'm calling around a few companies in your industry, and I wanted to speak to you first before I went on to list another competitor. I believe I can add value to you because, and have these reasons there when you make the call or when you send the email. Have some evidence there as to why this person should speak to you and what a difference you can make to them or to their business. You know, if you make it easy for them to want you, it's a much easier sell. My last boss said he'd hire me again tomorrow due to, again, have some evidence there. You know, the sales I brought in, the customers, my customer service. I still have the outstanding results on my psychometric test. Whatever it is that you can use to sell yourself, don't be shy, just use it. Okay, the third trait of highly successful job seekers is they make the application relevant to the job. In order to do this, you'll need to have researched the company. You'll need to know about them. Have a look online, Google, Glassdoor, website, social channels. Who works there that you know? Who can you ask about how things run in that company? Are they the company for you? Because the recruitment process is a two-way process. It's a two-way street. You know, do you want to work for them? What kind of people do they employ? Is that you? Research the job. Don't just click apply, read the advert. Do you have the skills, the transferable skills? Where is the job? What hours? Can you do it? Do you want to do it? What can you offer them? Follow the instructions, the application instructions that they give to you. You know, if they say write a covering letter, write a covering letter. Don't just think, oh, they've only written that to write something. You know, absolutely not. They've written everything for a reason, so follow those instructions. Tailor your CV and your application to that particular job. You know, don't just have one CV that you send for everything. Tailor it to that particular job. Stick in some bits that are more specific. Make the traits needed for that job more specific or stand out more on the front of your CV. Again, make it easy for them to clearly see that you are the person for that job. In any covering letter or in any covering email that you write, use their language back to them. You know, if you've seen a job advert that uses specific languages and that lists specific traits, you can just drop that into your covering letter to just reiterate. Again, it's just making it easy for them to see why they should speak to you. And just remember that pitching you as a brand starts with that very first contact. So whether that's on the phone or walking in their door, you know, make sure you leave the best possible impression every time. Stand out, send a video, why not? You know, particularly if it's a creative role, but even if it's not a creative role, you may want to send a video via LinkedIn or with your CV that you're sending via email or a link to a video. All kinds of creative things are going on via video now on LinkedIn. Have a look, get some ideas. If it is via CV and via paper CV, print it on a different colour paper. Call in, maybe not right now during COVID, we need to judge that one as we go along. But again, just anything that you can do to stand out. Number 4, the fourth trait of these highly successful job seekers, they sell themselves. Again, don't be a shrinking violet. I can't say that often enough. You may think, oh, I couldn't shout about me. Well, it's not just shouting about you. It's just think about what you have got to sell. Take yourself, you know, pretend you're up there on an aeroplane, look down on Earth and look down on you and look down on the jobs that you've done previously. So you're taking an outside view on you. What skills has that person got that somebody else would want? You know, be positive, think about that. And this is what can form the basis of what you're going to sell to any potential employer. Have a strong CV and use it as a sales tool. You know, we're going on to do some other seminars on CV, but you know, make sure that you have a strong and relevant CV and that you're not afraid to use it. Keep your information relevant, attention grabbing and snappy. Don't waffle anywhere. You know, don't waffle verbally, don't waffle on your CV, don't waffle in your covering letter, just don't waffle. Hiring managers are very busy people, so you need to keep it snappy. Shout about all your achievements, not just the work ones. Again, as an employer, I want to know about the full picture about my employees and about my team, you know. What do they do in their spare time? What's important to them? It's really important to build up that full picture. And they may have achieved lots outside of work in terms of voluntary or sporting achievements. So we want to know about those. If you've got a little experience, you're just starting on the job ladder, be positive about the experience that you do have, either inside or outside of the workplace. You know, look at any transferable skills, any voluntary work that you may have done, any projects in school even, or any areas of responsibility that you've had. Just because you're fresh from school or fresh from college, it doesn't mean to say that you don't have some relevant experience for any employer. And just remember that if you don't sell you, nobody else is going to do it for you. Trait number 5 of these highly successful job seekers, they sweat the small stuff. Detail, detail, detail. If you're not big on it, then get help from somebody who is. And this is particularly in terms of written presentation of CVs and application materials. Make sure there's no spelling errors, make sure your punctuation's good, get somebody to look over it. Make sure you've got your contact details on your CV. You wouldn't believe how many CVs we get through our doors that actually we can't get in touch with the people because they haven't put contact details on them. Check and recheck your application, the dates of your previous employment. Have you missed out? Are there any gaps between your employments? Or have you put wrong dates in there? This all shows the employer your attention to detail, and this outward presentation reflects your inward character. And this, I would also extend this to your physical presentation. If you're going to meet people face to face, then it needs to be how you look. I look at people's shoes. I look whether they just haven't cleaned them for 2 years. Everything. The handshake. Not that we're handshaking at the moment, but the handshake, the shoes, and the physical and the written presentation. Trait number 6 of these highly effective job seekers, they walk in the employer's shoes. Would you hire you? Ask yourself that question. So constantly think, how am I appearing to this employer? And things to look at, your online profiles and presence. Google yourself. Have a look at your social media accounts as somebody else. What are your privacy settings? What can people see? Most employers will look on Facebook to see what they can find out about people. A lot of employers won't admit to it, but just make sure that you are representing yourself in the best possible light and giving yourself the best chance, and not doing yourself a disservice here. Employers don't want to see you falling out of a taxi on a Friday night, or want to see bad language, or want to see questionable allegiances. Just have a look at yourself online. Again, personal presentation, if you're going to meet them face to face, but also it still matters on Zoom. If you're going to have a lot of virtual interviews these days, how are you presented on Zoom? So have a look at the surroundings, what's in your background, if you've got your washing hanging behind you, or I don't know, yesterday's dishes in the sink behind you. Clear it up, take yourself somewhere with a neutral background, where you're going to give you a good impression of yourself. And then just some other ideas here. Punctuality. If you're going to attend interviews, make sure you're punctual. Again, quality of your application. Make it easy for the employer to want to employ you. Think about the whole picture. And another standout moment, just ask yourself, what else can I do to stand out positively from the next person, and do it. Trait number 7 of these highly successful job seekers, they leave no stone unturned. They prepare, and then they prepare again. As I mentioned already, they research prior to embarking on the process. What sector, region, country am I looking in? Where would the jobs be advertised? Who do I know that can help me? Friends of friends, contacts, people you've met through networking, which brings me to my next point. They network like a ninja. This might be virtually, it might be on LinkedIn, it might be in Facebook groups, you might be in either job hunting groups or groups for a particular sector, if you're in the health and safety environment, health and safety groups. Get yourself out there physically as soon as we're able to, but in the meantime, out there virtually, join groups, comment on companies that you want to work with, comment on their posts, congratulate them, build rapport. It's almost like a brainwashing. If they've seen your name on their social channels and then they get that phone call from you, oh, where have I heard of Joe Bloggs before? Oh yeah, he's that guy that keeps messaging or congratulating. Maybe we should have a chat with him. And get your details out there. If you are actively looking for work, which job boards are you on? We'll have a look at some of those shortly, but sign up with them. Which specialist recruiters are you dealing with? If you're in looking for catering work. There might be hospitality recruiters or IT recruiters. Sign up with some agencies, but make sure they're good ones. Who are the hiring managers that you could be talking to? Again, you can look on LinkedIn, you can look at companies on LinkedIn, you can see who works for that company on LinkedIn. There's no excuse not to be getting in touch with these hiring managers. In terms of leaving no stone unturned, when it comes to job boards, there's so many more job boards out there now than there ever has been. These are some of the main ones, everything from Google Jobs, CV Library, Indeed, Facebook Jobs, Gumtree, Total Jobs, JobSite. Just get yourself on some of these job boards, and you can look for jobs on them, but you can also post your CVs on many of them. Just continuing on point number 7. Again, they prepare good application materials. We've already covered that. Prepare prior to interview. If it's a physical interview that you're going for, make sure you know where you're going, how are you getting there. If you're going on the bus, have you seen how long it's going to take you? What if there's traffic issues? Make sure you're early. If it's a virtual interview and you're having it all on Zoom, then make sure you've put the dog out, that he's not going to bark during it, or put the baby out. Clear the background, check the camera view, put your phone on silent. You've done the company research, you've got your company knowledge, any news, any wins, any assets that you need to take with you, you know, your CV, make sure your clothes are ready the night before. Basic stuff, some of this, but you wouldn't believe how many people don't do it. Prepare for those difficult questions. Again, we're hosting a webinar in a couple of weeks on interviews, but there will be difficult questions. Prepare for them and don't take things personally when that comes around. Again, prepare by reviewing and amending your online presence and through role play. You know, you can get family members to role play some questions with you. And just remember that failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And the 7.5 trait of the 7 traits of highly successful job seekers is follow up and then do the whole thing again. You know, follow up all your applications. If an application is worth making, it's worth following up. So follow up, ask for feedback. If they're not recruiting, when will they be recruiting? If you got an interview but didn't get the job, why didn't you get the job? What could you do better? Again, this will make you stand out to employers, the fact that you actually care and you're actually seeking feedback. Don't get disheartened. You know, it's not, every rejection that you get is one step closer to that dream job. So just keep at it and stay flexible in your approach. Maybe the first job you get offered wouldn't be your ideal one, but it's often easier to find a job when you're in a job. So maybe you should just consider that. So that's it. So here are the 7 traits of the highly successful job seeker. Being realistic, not looking for unicorns, creating opportunities, making the application relevant to the job, selling themselves, sweating the small stuff, walking in the employer's shoes, would you hire you, leaving no stone unturned, and then following up and repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. So if anybody has any questions, I'll zoom over to the chat box shortly and have a look at those. In the meantime, other ways, how else can we help you? Well, we do have another 2 seminars. 8th of December, we're doing the perfect CV, and 15th of December, we're doing how to ace that interview. And we are hoping to do some more in early 2021. If you're looking for work in North Wales, of course, feel free to register on our website, which I'll show the contact details of in the next slide. And thank you for your time. Hopefully you found this useful. If you have, it would be great if you could leave us a review or contact me directly. Here's my contact details. If you want to register for work with Supertemps or S2 Recruitment, here's our web address. And you can contact us via any of these numbers. Okay, so let's pop over to the chat box and have a look if we have got any questions in here. So don't be shy, guys. If you have any questions at all, pop them in the chat box and myself and my team can answer them for you. Okay, I'm not seeing any in there at the moment. Thanks for the presentation, very useful. Oh, that's good. I'm glad it's been useful. Okay, well, if following this webinar you think of any questions that you'd like to ask us, feel free to get in touch with us here at Supertemps S2 Recruitment. I will send an email around just thanking everybody with a link to today's video if you want to rewatch it and share it with any of your friends, or just get some of the ideas embedded into your own mind for your job search. Okay, so I have a question here. You were saying about making a presence, but where to draw the line. I have been told many times, if we need you, we'll call you. Yeah, Monica, now that's something that we do hear a lot, you know, and particularly in this marketplace, every employer won't get back to you. It's nice if they do, and I think it damages employer brand if they don't. Maybe because of the sheer volume of applications, employers can't answer every single one at the moment. But I would say, going back to, you know, putting your rhino skin on, just don't be afraid to ask them for feedback. You know, they've said to you, if we need you, we'll call you. Well, maybe go back to them and say, okay, that's great, I really appreciate that, but if you wouldn't mind, could you just give me an element of feedback on my CV to help me in my application going forward? Some employers will help with that, not everybody will, and there's not a lot you can do about that, but I would give it a go and see where you get to. Any other questions today? What do I think about the 2.9 billion that the government has said they are going to invest in a welfare to work, charity and youth sectors, hoping for future opportunities? Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully that will happen and will make a difference in those sectors, John. If it depends how it's spent, it depends how wisely it's spent, and it depends where it's allocated exactly. But I think it's great that they've pledged that amount of money. And, you know, I know through things like apprenticeship scheme, there's particular focus on trying to get the young people into work. They're very worried that a lot of the people that have lost their jobs are going to be the young. So hopefully they will do everything to address that. And we'll just have to wait and see how this plays out. So Monica, you've chased up 34 times emails. Is that to one company, Monica? Gosh, that's a lot, and there are no answers. What do you do? Oh no, sorry, 3 to 4 times. Okay. I think sometimes you just have to draw a line, Monica. Not all companies, as I say, will give you feedback. So sometimes you have to just draw the line and move on. Try as best you can, try politely, try and point out why you want the feedback, because it will help you, it will give you a better chance going forward. But ultimately, if they're not going to offer it, then there is very little you can do, unfortunately. Maybe try and get hold of them via their social media channels and ask for feedback. Companies often respond. Be careful how you do it though. Don't make yourself look aggrieved in any way. Okay, yeah, Monica, you've done all what I've said and the luck has not changed. I would say persist. It is tough, but just maybe go through all the other points that I've looked at. You know, what sectors are you looking in? Could you expand your options? Could you look in other sectors? Are you willing to do something else whilst you're looking for your ideal job? and yeah, just look at the whole picture, as I'm sure you are doing, but just flexibility is key. Okay, any other questions today? Okay, I think we're nearing the end of the questions, unless there's any more. Okay, well, if there's no more questions, guys, thanks for your time today. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I hope you have found something useful in the presentation. As I said, we will send a link to the video, and I wish you all the best in your job search. You know where we are if you need us, but best wishes, and we will speak to you all soon. Take care now.